When you think of the Ed Sullivan Show, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For a lot of people, it's that iconic 1964 performance by the Beatles. You know, the one that basically launched the British invasion and cemented their takeover of American pop culture. But the Ed Sullivan Show was so much more than just that one night. It was a stage for legends, hosting everyone from the Rolling Stones and Elvis Presley to Janis Joplin, Ella Fitzgerald, and The Doors. It was the place to be. And on one particular day, December 1st, 1957, the show hosted a band that would help catapult rock and roll into the mainstream. Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Now, let's be real. No single band can take all the credit for launching rock and roll. It was a movement, a cultural shift powered by giants like Bill Haley and his Comets, the one and only Elvis Presley, the poetic Chuck Berry, the harmonious Everly Brothers, the electrifying Little Richard, and so many others. But if you're making a list of the most influential pioneers, Buddy Holly and the Crickets are absolutely, without a doubt, right near the top. Their impact on rock and roll, and on 20th century American culture as a whole, is just massive. Think about it, their debut album, The Chirping Crickets, was a game changer, and a huge part of their rise to fame was their appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show. On this very day, back in 1957, it was a moment that changed everything for them. By 1957, The Ed Sullivan Show wasn't just a TV program. It was a pop culture institution. It had been on the air since 1948 and had a reputation for making stars. It helped introduce entire genres to the American public, bringing artists like Johnny Cash and country music into living rooms across the nation. So, getting booked on Ed Sullivan's stage, that was your ticket. It meant you were on the verge of something big. And for Buddy Holly and the Crickets, it was the rocket fuel they needed. So, what happened that night? The band Buddy, Holly, Nikki Sullivan, Joe Malden, and Jerry Allison walked onto that famous stage looking sharp. They were all decked out in classy sport coats and bow ties, a look that was both respectable and cool. They were ready to win over America, and they had two secret weapons in their arsenal, their songs. First, they launched into That'll Be the Day. The energy was incredible. The tight harmonies, the driving rhythm, Buddy's unique vocal stylet was unlike anything many people had ever heard. The audience was hooked. Then, they followed it up with another future classic, Peggy Sue. With its distinctive paradiddle drum beat and Buddy's hiccuping vocals, the song was infectious. It was pure, unadulterated rock and roll energy, delivered with a clean-cut image that made it accessible to everyone, from teenagers to their parents. They weren't just playing music, they were radiating charisma and a genuine love for what they were doing. You could see it in their performance. They were tight, professional, but still had that raw, youthful spark that defined the genre. In just two songs, Buddy Holly and the Crickets didn't just perform for the audience, they connected with them. They won over the music lovers of America, right then and there. The effect of that performance was immediate and explosive. It was like a spark hitting gasoline. Shortly after their appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show, their career went into overdrive. The charts told the story. That'll Be the Day, the song that had kicked off their performance, soared all the way to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Peggy Sue wasn't far behind, climbing to the #3 spot. Suddenly, they weren't just a promising band from Texas. They were one of the biggest bands in America. In the years that followed, Buddy Holly and the Crickets continued to be a major force, both commercially and culturally. They released a string of hits and influenced countless musicians who would come after them. The Beatles themselves were huge fans, even naming their own band partly as a tribute to the Crickets. John Lennon and Paul McCartney studied Holly's songwriting, and his impact can be heard all over their early work. So, when we look back, that one night on the Ed Sullivan Show was more than just a TV appearance. It was a pivotal moment. It was the culmination of their hard work and the beginning of their legendary status. It all started, more or less, on this day, December 1st, 1957, a day when four young men in bow ties walked onto a stage and showed the world the future of music. It's a powerful reminder of how a single performance can change the course of music history forever. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from music history. See you next time.